Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Berto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to hear your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media, beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGGBRTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. Berto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. So you got an echo. I hope the echo is gone because I do not know why the echo was there. But you know what? Hey, if the voice is going right now, then we are A-OK. We are A-OK. Let me get to another line here, so that I can make sure all our lines are perfectly active. How is my peep? Hear me. How is my peeps? What's wrong with me? How are my peeps doing this afternoon? AVQ, welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard says the echo is gone now. Eric Hayes is in the house. Lee Grant is in the house. Tank Murdoch is in the house. The bot is in. We also have, let's see, who else is here with us? We've got, Maywood is in the house. Melanie Keelan, she is early and in the house. Para ver quién más está aquí. Paul Fleming está aquí. Let's see who else is with us. I'm scrolling up. We already have a lot of scrolls. Anyhow, let's get started because we got a lot to cover, my peeps. We got a lot to cover. Michael Rudden says, Common Dreams, 15K miles. I've read that article. Or rather, I skimmed that article. 15K miles of new oil pipelines worldwide show almost deliberate failure to meet climate goals. The United States is currently developing more new oil pipeline capacity than any other country. A global analysis shows as climate scientists and frontline communities plead with governments to urgently phase out planet-wrecking fossil fuels. An analysis released Tuesday, shows that nearly 15,000 miles of new oil pipeline are currently in development worldwide, potentially imperiling the hopes of curbing runaway warming. Tidal Crude Awakening Oil Pipelines is developing access to the globe. The new report from Global Energy Monitor, GEM, finds that the United States is currently pursuing more new oil pipeline capacity by length than any other country, with a total of 1,700 miles of pipelines either proposed or already under construction. The majority of U.S. pipeline construction is linked to the Permian Basin, massive carbon bomb located in the country's southwest. What we do now literally determines our future as our civilization survival at stake. There's 9 environmental tipping points around the world. If cross man mean game over, what happens after them out of humanity's control? That article pisses one off. And let me explain why. We know what the problems are, people. We know what the problems are. The guys who are sitting down in those towers who are making billions of dollars and collecting millions of dollars in bonuses, and many of them becoming billionaires themselves, they are just looking out for themselves. That is what this economic system preaches to them. It's the next mighty dollar. We pay the interest rates when the economy screws up. The lower classes, the middle classes pay that higher interest rates. They, as the bankers and everybody, profit from the damage they've done to the economy. The same goes with inflation. They rack it up with inflation. We pay the price. Now they rack it up by building pipelines to move more oil products so that on the stock market they can report that there's growth, there's growth, there's growth, there's growth. If we constantly report growth, guess what happens? Stock prices go up because the casino that we have on Wall Street That's the formula that it uses. Growth means that you can have a stock value that is greater than the actual value of the company because of future growth. These people have no morals. This economic system has a lack of morality. And until we understand that and are able to articulate that to our brothers and sisters who think, those of us who think this way are somehow crazy. We are those lefty people. The hurricanes of massive sizes that are hitting us, the water rising, it's not enough for them because they are protected. They have the capital to protect themselves. And they have you believe that you have to do this to maintain. Again, you better vote. You better vote. We cannot allow the evils within this economic system to stop us from voting and electing those progressives that actually cares about people, actually cares about the environment, actually cares about saving the planet. And we have to get over all those incidentals and those things that some men do to get rid of fairness. But let's continue. Common Dreams offers a reminder from last year. This must not happen. If unhalted, Permian Basin fracking will unleash 40 billion tons of CO2 by 2050. Miguel Escoto, Earthworks West Texas field advocate and El Paso resident, said, unless President Biden defuses the Permian Basin climate bomb exploded in my backyard, we won't prevent catastrophic climate change or meet our energy climate commitments. A code red demands emergency action, not business as usual. The president can show he is serious about climate by declaring a climate emergency, reinstating the crude export ban, enabling the toughest possible rules to cut oil and gas methane pollution, and laying the political groundwork to end oil and gas production. False. I want to get it into people's head. President Biden doesn't have the power to do a damn thing, and he can't do that either. If you really want solutions, we have to do what we are doing right here and expand it. We have to lay out the case. Right now, if you look at TV, if you look at the television, the ads are scaring Americans into believing that they must drill because that's what's going to bring down the price of gas. That's what's going to make their lives better. And those damn progressive, those damn liberals, those damn socialists, those are the ones that are going to hurt you. Those are those green guys that are trying to save the earth. They're the ones that's going to hurt your personal economy. So vote Republican or vote neoliberal. Vote those moderate Democrats. Vote those extremist Republicans. The work is hard that we have to do, people. The work is difficult. Michael, thank you for bringing these stories because it gives, and framing the second one gives me the opportunity to say something that we need to say. Biden won't save you. Biden can't save you. When Obama said, we have been who we've been waiting for, that was a true statement that was unaffected. In other words, that was a true statement. We didn't go through with it because we were waiting on the great Obama to keep Obama for America up and running as an organization, a grassroots organization that was so powerful that it was able to get a black man in a racist country elected before his time. That's how powerful Obama for America was. It was able to have kids from the University of Texas go home to mommy and say, Mom, this guy is cool. And because mommy loves the kid, they go against their inner prejudices and they said, yes, I now, because my kid, I can see him for who he really is and I elect him. And what did Obama do? Did he keep Obama for America? No, he fell right into the neoliberal model as opposed to enforcing and getting Obama for America and all these other organizations, these progressive organizations that wanted to keep on. And there were no sub-leaders in these organizations ready to keep it going at full-fledged, to keep the power that it had. We have to do it ourselves. It's not going to be Biden. It's not going to be any of these leaders. It's going to be us actually going in there and going to those politicians and said, this is what you are going to do. And you know what this election in 2018 can do, 2022 can do? This election, by blowing the polls out of the water, by making sure these polls are all wrong, we can send a message to these guys. We just decimate the Republican Party that is today because of who they are, an extremist party, the leadership. Decimate them. Women should all vote and make sure that we have a sea of Democrats, and then we get the posse together and we say, this is what you are going to do with this majority que te otorgamos, that we have given to you. Because Michael Rudnin's messages are on point. They don't care about you. The hurricanes will come. They'll be in that skyscraper or outside of the flood with a generator on the top of the roof that is loaded, that they can stay in comfort for months as the peons clean up their mess, getting rid of the dead bodies, etc. Please, it's us. But for it to be us, we also have to talk to our brothers and sisters on the other side, because they are in the same boat with us. They just don't know it. They just think that somehow we are a caricature, because that is how we've been portrayed psychologically by psychologically designed formats. Hear me out, people. This is important business that we're talking about. New science, from another one from Rudnin. New scientist, Brazilian election will determine the future of the Amazon rainforest. There's another one. I read that article, or I skimmed that article as well. Man, Rudnin, you're a good man. Here's the deal, folks. Bolsonaro is not, the person leading the polls right now is Lula da Silva, okay? Lula is leading the polls right now, but we got to make sure Lula has got to win. Because if we open up the Amazon, the lungs of the earth, I mean, it just continues to get worse. And you know those thugs, those capitalist thugs that are out there, they don't care, right? Because they know they will be dead. They will be protected from the big storms and all of that in the near term, and they'll be dead in the far term. So they just look out for themselves. They don't even care about their offsprings. Right? They don't realize that after a certain period, the pitchforks are coming justifiably. NBC News in 2019, Doug Mastriano said women who violated proposed abortion should be charged with murder. I saw that one. I'm not going to read the entire thing. The governor, the guy running for governor said women should be thrown in jail. And lastly, I want to repeat a post I offered yesterday, as it will be going important before tomorrow. A video recommendation for 60 Minutes for after Egberto's live stream. Put in country over party. A former Trump Republican NSA senior official repulsed by the January 6th insurrection attempt gathered evidence and the corroboration of the attempted coup by Trump's inner circle and far-right minions. Consider this a preview trailer for what January 6th Commission will be discussing later this week. We're not sure when it will be. They postponed it because of the hurricane in Florida. Paul Fleming says he's checking in. Welcome, Paul. Bridge says, hey, all cool music. I guess that was from all the echo that I don't understand, but we'll figure that out some other time. What else we got here? Bridge MCP says from Albany, while progressive insurgents have racked up wins against party-backed Democrats in recent years, the tide has receded this year as both groups face a shared target and Republicans hoping to stage a conservative comeback. There is a common enemy that drives Democrats back together, said a professor emeritus of political science at SUNY. That's this University of New York. What does the S stand for again? I forget. Anyway, Let's see what else we got here. I'm scrolling down. This is why people are leaving, and it's plain lying, telling people's crime isn't bad. LA or New York, Chicago, mutual comeback to people. Let's get something straight. All of Eric, you live in Kingwood. You've been pushing all this crime stuff because people have told you about it. You know why? Just like you live in Kingwood, I live in Kingwood. One of the safest places, nothing happens here. And the people that are complaining the most about crime are people living in the comfort of their homes in Kingwood, Texas, and Katy, Texas, and most of Houston, Texas. The war that is occurring in criminality has mostly affected the gang areas, right? But not only that, crime is actually down. One has to ask, why is it that the media is playing it up so much more now than it has during the entire year before, that at times were higher? And you know why it is? Because they are on the side of helping folks who believe that, oh, the world is coming to an end. Crime is horrendous. Look, it has increased. Nowhere close to what it was earlier in the 90s and early 2000s. Nowhere around there, but it has increased. You increase poverty, you increase desperation, and you get crime. But it's ironic that when it should have been portrayed widely, it hadn't. Most of the people you hear complain about crime have never seen a crime occur in their life. They see something on TV occurring in the ghettos, the barrios, and Appalachia, and they try to project it onto these people's fear. And in projecting it onto these people's fear, they vote against their own interests. But I tell you what, I've been telling Democratic candidates and folks, remember, got to go out there and vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. In whatever county you are in the United States of America, check your county office and make sure you're registered to vote. And any vote for any Republican right now is a vote against your interest. It's completely against your interest. You're voting for the death of many women you know. Not only because of the abortion issue, but because of the healthcare issue and because of many other issues. I am not asking that. That's a statement of fact based on the policies that they support. All right? So, continuing. So, therefore, this crime thing is not, there is crime, don't get me wrong. But that somehow you are in danger. You go outside and you run the risk of being hurt. If the only person that has made crime horrendously terrible with guns right now is the Republican Party, who has in Texas allowed unfettered access to guns. They have thrown guns. They have given a pass to the gun manufacturers to just sell guns in Texas. And if you have more guns, you have more people using guns. And if you have more people using guns, more people are going to die from guns. Whose fault is that? Republicans. I cannot fathom the reason why our wimpy Democrats in Texas are not making that case that as soon as they put a crime commercial out, the crime rate is caused by whom? Republicans. It is something that is not at all difficult for us to articulate. Increase in guns, increase in crimes. Who increased the crimes? Republicans. The crime rate, the crime increase was caused by the Republican policies in Texas and other states that have allowed unfettered access to guns. Pete DeSantis, whoa, I bet he's quaking in his boots, and the difference here is DeSantis has policy. DeSantis is a crook. DeSantis used past money to his friends and paid more than $5,000 or so per person to get that flight from Texas, which he had no right to take those people into Massachusetts. Eric, if you believe in the law, you should believe that that is wrong. If you believe in laws, you should believe that anybody seeking asylum is not an illegal it's not a person here undocumented, and as such, that was a ploy that blew up in his face. Whether he goes to jail for it or not, or whether he's found guilty or not, is immaterial. Any intelligent person, whether Latino or otherwise in Florida, if they still vote for that charlatan, there's something wrong. Okay. All right, and then Echo, let's see. I think that's old. I'm moving on. Bridge, it was an intro rocking out. All right. Lee Grant says, look at European farmers protesting the green agenda. So what does that... Okay, European farmers protesting the green agenda. Wow. What am I supposed to say? If you're wrong and you protest for being wrong, that somehow that means something? No. What I'm supposed to say at that point is, because we are changing, because we have to change our modal, we should make arrangements to take care of farmers who must farm differently to prevent more excessive carbon into the atmosphere. I mean, that is like saying, I believe the earth is flat, and I create a big protest about them teaching that the earth is round, that the earth is a globe in school. So I'm protesting, I'm wrong as hell, but I'm protesting. And you want to use that as an excuse for why we shouldn't go green? Come on, Lee Grant. I love you, brother, but you are much better than that. Braided Dragon, thank you for buying those books that you said you bought. Haven't checked or any of that. I've been busy as hell, but thank you. Let's see. Murdoch says, red wave as inflation, crime, and mass at the murder are disgraceful. Inflation, if you guys really cared about truth, not only truth, if you guys wanted solutions, you would really want to know what the genesis, the beginning of the problem really is. And as I've mentioned many times, inflation have less to do with scarcity now. It has less to do with supply chain problems now than it does have to do with corporate greed that is warranted by a failed economic system that is predicated on screwing anybody to make a profit primary. Okay, let's see. Bruce says, peep, peep, it's starting to feel like Putin might leave us with more radiation than on a trip to Mars. We'll see. I don't think so, Bruce. I think Putin is smarter than that because Putin loves a clean body. Putin likes to make sure that he's okay. And blowing tactical nuclear weapons have the risk of blowing a lot of that right back in his face. I think he'll think twice about that. Peggy Lopez says, or rather, Eric Hayes, no, that's a conversation. 300 million spent to see if a comet headed to Earth can be deflected without spending on climate change. There will be no planet worth protecting. I love that, Peggy. That's a damn good thought. I never thought about it that way, but it's a great thought. Yvette Avery Herod, good afternoon, my beautiful lady. Peggy Lopez says, at the beginning of corporations, there was a morality built into the rules of corporate. As the corporation got rich, they bought their way out of morality. Well, actually, it started, in my humble opinion, I may be too young to know that, but it really, from my readings, it was the economist Milton Friedman, who specifically told executives they have no right to be socially conscious. Their sole purpose was to enrich the wealthy stockholders of the company. Their job was to increase the value for stockbrokers. That's their sole purpose in life, the executives. And in so doing, increasing their own personal well-being. Eric Hayes says, Egberto, how much carbon adding using those diesel cranes to rip the earth open to get the AV materials? Again, as I think you were, why do we have to repeat the same things over? As I think you were schooled from Brother Rudnin before, yes, we can use all the means necessary to dig up those special rare earths to build semiconductors for green energy. But you burn it once, and thereafter you have the other good semiconductors. You don't have to do it again. Come on, man. Common sense. Maywood says, I heard that the Republican Party has been cheering the victories of fascism in Sweden and Italy. Yes, they have. Sweden, I don't think, has completely turned yet, though. I just think their party came in second, if I recall. Eric Hayes, yes, you must, and keep economic policy in check. Instead, you ain't spending money you don't. Again, you don't understand economics if you can just say spending money you don't have. Money is a figment of your imagination that some control. Peggy Lopez, Egberto haven't owned a TV since the 2 days of 9/11. Please don't ask me to watch TV. Won't ask you, baby. Won't ask you. Won't ask you. Won't ask you. E2247 says, we've got a constitution. Now, what are we going to do with it? Some parts of it, rip it. Let's see. Maywood says, and some Republicans saying that people are finally realizing the damage that the liberals are causing. Again, remember, you don't hate people like that. You don't despise people like that. You just remember that you normally don't hate or harm people that have mental illnesses, whether on purpose or designed. Okay? And mental illness can be imparted in somebody based on their environment. Remember that, please. I want you to remember that. And I did that experiment on myself several decades ago listening to Rush Limbaugh. I said I was going to spend a week listening to Rush Limbaugh solely, and I did it. And what happened to my psyche, or what started to happen to my psyche, took a little bit of time to sort of deprogram, because some of the way they know the nerves to hit. And then when they hit the nerve, and you know you're a hard worker, and most Americans are hard workers, and all you have to see is somebody that's not doing the right thing. And when you are pre-programmed from a Rush Limbaugh, you are able to project that the minority of lazy people, the minority of people who don't want to work, the minority of immoral people, somehow you're able to project that onto many others, and then think that, you create a new false reality. That's how it works, man. And that's why when I say you don't hate these folks, you got to love on these folks. You have to love on these folks so that they know they have a place to land. They have a loving arm to land in. It's hard to do, but it's a must if we're to save the entire country. The only solution to the reduced total energy use most likely be population reduction. My contention, Bruce, I hear that a lot. There's a lot. Look, population is going to be reduced if we overdo what we need to do, right? This hurricane is going to knock out a lot of people, not many, not substantially at all. But eventually, there will be a hurricane or some weather phenomena that's going to knock out a city. I mean, it's going to come and it's going to flood, and you won't be able to run from it, and it'll knock out the entire city. But when those types of hurricanes start to come, by then it's too late for us to do anything, as Rodnan always says. Fleming says the truth is that Republicans think that Trump can save them from what is the question, what they want, a king. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Which brings up to the important question, Maywood. Name one success or good results of conservative policies. None. In fact, I got to look for a video at the Tom Hartman site. When they add up all the jobs created by, they took the last 5 presidents or 6 presidents. They took Obama and Clinton, added up all his job numbers. They then took Bush 1, Bush 2, Bush 1, Bush 2, Trump, and Reagan. And the total amount of jobs created for those 4 was 1.something million people in the aggregate. And the total amount for Clinton and Obama were 24 million. Now, I wrote in my book As I See It. I did that years ago when I wrote the book. And let me see if I can get to the page that actually gives those numbers correctly. Because the numbers, a lot of people do things with numbers, and you can get numbers to tell you anything, right? If you can selectively select ranges, etc. I want to just name this, and this is in my book, As I See It. Here is it. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I went through the presidents. George W. Bush Sr., 3 million people. Bill Clinton, 23.1 million jobs created. George H.W. Bush Jr., 2.5 million created. Reagan, 16 million created. Carter, 10 million created. Gerald Ford, 1.8 million created. Richard Nixon, 9.4 million. Lyndon Johnson, 11.9 million. John F. Kennedy, 3.6 million, short say. Dwight Eisenhower, 3.5 million. And Harry Truman, 8.4 million. What was classic in there? As you note, all the Democrats had a large number of jobs created. And all the Republicans, the highest one was Reagan, and that was coming out of the stagflation, and that was using massive, massive spending. I explain it all in my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. You know, they lie to these people, and they actually believe Reagan created the most jobs. It's not true. Clinton, and the reason people don't bring up Clinton is Clinton's flawed personality, right? Oh, they bring up Monica Lewinsky. So talking about Clinton, the Democrats are scared to talk about Clinton because they're going to bring up Monica Lewinsky. But guess what? Donald Trump gives you the opportunity to do it now. 23 million jobs created under Clinton, 16 million under Reagan. Compare them. Democrats outperform Republicans on every metric. When it comes to GDP, they overperform by over 2 percentage points, which is huge. When it comes to every metric, when it comes to taking care of people, progressives and Democrats always do better for humanity, do better for the citizens. Why is it that these guys can't articulate these statements of facts that are mathematically provable? They're mathematically provable. You just have to look at the numbers. We can prove these things. And again, like I said, go get my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to the right-wing doom. It gives you the whole economic picture right up to Obama. The entire economic picture. It tells you the truth, and this is the only book where I made sure to do a full, I put links to all the reference information so that you can know this is an absolute fact. In the book, How to Make America Utopia, of course, I did something similar. But it's important for us to just know the truth. All right. Lee Grant says, Biden domestic wins are just spending dollars we don't have. How can you say we're spending dollars we don't have when we give trillions of dollars in tax breaks to people? We just make money. And then when Ukraine needs money for a few bombs, we give Ukraine money. But when we need money to clean up the water clean up the water where it's dirty in Jackson, Mississippi, in Flint, Michigan, we can't find money. That is evil. We can find money for bombs, but we can't find money for people? That is evil. Don't humanity come first? All right, let's see what else we have here. Paul Fleming said, Republicans are small government and don't touch my guns, but don't mind government in your doctor's office and in your... Yeah, it is a complete... If you decide that you're going to be honest, and if you decide you're going to follow, be consistent. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Eric Hayes says, Egberto, you are full of it, bud. Your eyes on crime. No, I'm not. Again, the numbers are there. Look it up. Look it up. And when you make a silly statement like, Hidalgo wants to defund Crime Stoppers because they keep stats. No, that's not true. Even the Crime Stopper status tells the truth. Crime has been on its way down. Violent crime has been on its way down. That you have some very huge crimes, I'm not denying that. But that's a fact. Look it up. You're supposed to be a numbers guy, Eric. Look it up. Don't take my word. Look it up. Braided Dragon says, every time before the elections, Democrats hoot and holler about how Republicans are split. Then the Republicans make Dems to be the enemy, and reps bring their flock together. Dem leaders have to see this. Yes, they do. Well, actually, Democrats are learning to do that right now. It happens every election. It makes me sick that we don't call it out. The only reason I could see it, this serves purpose of corporate leaders. Yes, And let me just tell you one other thing. All Democrats are not your friend. A neoliberal Democrat will side with a Republican every time. When progressives start to say, let's create Medicare for all and policies that are good. Look at Steny Hoyer. Steny Hoyer doesn't want a bill that says if you're in Congress, you can't play in the stock market. He doesn't want a bill to do that. Is that what we stand for? Hell no, but he's a neoliberal. Let's understand that. Okay, Paul Fleming says, you know it's funny that when CEOs' pay increases, that prices never go up, but when employees' pay increases, prices explode. You got that right. You got that right, Fleming. Eric says, BS, I have seen people stabbed and killed as a kid. I don't care what you've seen as a kid. I said we are in Kingwood. I didn't say in some bad neighborhood. We are in Kingwood, Texas. Katy, Texas. Sugarland, Texas. Isolated crimes are common everywhere. Okay, let's see. Should we shoot to kill a Roger Stone told us to... Yeah, I saw that as well, E2247. Peggy Lopez says, read a study that showed those who live in gated communities have the greatest amount of fear about becoming a crime victim. And what is so funny is the crime victim comes from within, right? In those gated communities, you have an easier time finding a wife who's going to shoot her husband, vice versa, or all those kinds of things in there. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue here. Nope, no one schooled. Your reply to someone is freaking rude, period. No, actually, I think he did a good job in schooling you. Lee, read and Egberto. All right, let's continue. Lee, I didn't realize Lee got my book. Lee, you should get my book and read it. You should get all of them, Lee Fleming. I mean, Lee, hear me, Lee Fleming. Lee Grant. Let's see what else we got here. The sound seems to have stopped. You can't hear me anymore? Is anybody having problems hearing me? Tom C. says, Eric Hayes, Reagan took deficit from 70 billion to 175 billion under Bush 45, went to 300 billion. Clinton down to 0. Bush 43 back up to 1.2 trillion. Obama cut deficit 600 billion. Trump raised it 1 trillion. And already Biden has started to reduce it, right? It's the same thing over and over. They talk, Democrats in the aggregate act. And the numbers, what gets me most is that the numbers are there to prove what we're saying. This is not just something that is made up or we're taking it out of the air. Paul Fleming says, I just bought an 80-volt Ryobi weed eater and I love it. It covers over a half an acre with one charge. Wow, that is so good. They never used to be that powerful with batteries, so it's really improved. Michael Sousa says, Biden raised it to 4 trillion. Why do you think we have inflation? Again, we have inflation because corporations have pricing power. Look, real inflation is caused by scarcity. Too much money chasing too few goods. If we have a lot of money available, but we also have a lot of goods, there should be no inflation. But what we have is a false scarcity. There's no scarcity in gasoline. There's no scarcity in meat. There's no scarcity in eggs. There's no scarcity in milk. They raise the prices because they can. And they can because they know that we have money in our pockets and they're going to take it all away from the masses and give it to the few. Michael Sousa, if you are not a wealthy person, you are speaking against your own interest. This is not a question. Get my 3 books and read them all. I beg you. I beg you. If it doesn't change the way you think, I beg of you. Because we are lied to we are lied to so often, even about our economic system. All right, this is a must read. Profiles in Ignorance, How America's Politicians Got Dumb and Dumber. Andy Borowitz saw some interviews. It was spot on. Send me the link directly, please. Daniel Ledo says, I have the mower. Love it. Oh, great. That's electric. That is great. Wow. All right, Breach MCP says 19 watching, 12 thumbs up. Hey, guys, if you're watching us, could you please give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm? Is Ask Egberto still on for next Saturday, 10/1? I have to go get my vaccine, so I may change the time. I think my vaccine is at noon, so I have to do one of two things. Have it at 11 till about 11:45, or I will be able to do it afterwards. My hunch is I'll do an Ask Egberto 11 to 11:45 on Saturday. Okay? Is that good enough for my brothers and sisters? Maywood says, going and coming to see if I can't get sound back. That's what it's going to take. Tank Merck says, Egghead is an enabler. Violent crime is a record highs. Just look at black on black crime. Oh, thank you for black on black crime. I tell you what, do me a favor as you do that, Tank. Look for black on black crime. You'll probably see about 90% or so. Please also look on white crime. You're going to notice something special. It's the same number. But here's what you're going to also notice. That the number 4 exceeds the absolute number for blacks. Of course, for blacks, because of socioeconomic reasons, the percentages are going to be higher for black people. You have to understand how to read things and understand when people are trying to pull the rug from under you. Important. Why is it that I copy a comment by a conservative, it brings me to the right-wing sites? Well, you know why. All right, and what else we got here? Peggy says Mitch McConnell has endorsed a bipartisan electoral count reform. Yeah, he's starting to run scared about the fascists, man. How can a right-to-life people be for the death penalty? That's a good point. Nancy H. says that. All right, let's see what else. Michael Rodney says, Gilberto, what you just said reminds me of this video. I hope you watch it later. I will. I'll send you a link on FB Messenger. Thank you, brother. All right, let's see what else. Money, who's this? Nomi B. They live in gated communities because they are monsters in a zoo. All right, let's see what else we got. Michael Rodney says, the desperation that comes from poverty is the leading cause of crime. Excellent. Lead in the water, lead in the water is the second driver as well. Race isn't a factor. We all know that, but it's necessary to use race because the capitalists need race as something to allow white people to tolerate a system that, oh wow, it's time for I forgot. That empowers. Look, I want to speak to my white brothers and sisters. Important message for my white brothers and sisters. Race is not real. Okay? You are made. They have to get you to hate something and protect yourself about something else so that you don't go after the villain that's really castrating you, that's really taking your economic freedom, that's really sucking it to you. That's what it's all about. That is why there is no person of any ideology, of any race, of any ethnicity. And notice I did use race there because people define race in a particular manner. Notice that I don't let any of that get to me. I don't care what you call me, how you talk to me. I'm on a mission. And that mission is for us to enlighten all. That's why when folks call me the N-word on this show or whatever, I let it slide and I try to reach that person because many times that is a connecting feature that I get to them. It may sound strange. Read my book, How Do You Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and see how I do it. There is one race, the human race, exactly right. But they need to divide us. They need to have trans. They need to have gays. And by the way, all of us at some point were guilty of falling into the trap. We can also be guilty of getting out of the trap, working together, and really making this system work. But let me do my ask, and then I'll be right back. Politics done right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. All right, folks. So please support us however you can. We cannot do it without. And by the way, all of my videos now have a thank you thing underneath that. If you want to support any video that we do, you can now click on that thank you button and all of that. Peggy Lopez is another sexuality only matters if you want to have sex with that person. Yep. It's amazing what people do. Paul Fleming says socialism is what they call public power. Socialism is what they call social security. Socialism is what they call the growth of the free and independent labor organization. Socialism is what Republicans call anything that helps the American people. And, we have to work with our Republican compatriots because we are in the same boat. They just have been fed a Kool-Aid that we need to desalinate. They've just been fed as Kool-Aid. I mean, even when they've gone too far, when you have somebody like Karl Rove. Karl Rove came out. Karl Rove was in Texas, right? And Karl Rove had something to tell his fellow Republicans, and I want to play that, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Define extremist.
Well, essentially, no abortion, no exceptions.
So you mean the Texas bill?
Exactly.
Right. Do you think Texas is too extremist?
Yeah, I do.
You do. You would recommend that the legislature go back and...
I think it's going to create a real problem for Republicans in the legislature next year.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. So yes, even Karl Rove thinks that. But here is what Michael Steele has to say about this election, and we have to make it true. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Well, it seems like good old former GOP chair, Michael Steele, he concludes the same thing that I told you that I figured out last week, or actually before last week. So, I want you to listen to this, and then let's go ahead and take it on the other side, because I think you'll find it fascinating. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Michael, we've seen what can happen in states like Kansas. Even Michigan now has the right to choose up for the voters to decide, is it hyperbolic to say that abortion will be the issue in November?
No, it is not. It has been the issue since the leaking of that opinion back in April of this year. It has been something that has been galvanizing. And what has surprised many of us, particularly among pro-life elected officials, is how negligent and dangerous the Republican rhetoric has been on this subject, how offensive it has been to women. The very same women they know they need in suburban America to turn out for them. The very same women among young voters who are going to be a pivotal player this November. Going back to how you opened the segment, Katie, the reality of it is that pink wave is not being counted in polling right now. They're doing traditional modeling of polling. They're not looking at and extrapolating the effects of Kansas and what that may mean, the effect of having Republicans lose in these special elections, and the significant uptick in the turnout models from Democrats. So it's going to be a very dynamic election. I still contend the lane is there for Democrats to hold the House, despite how you led with the showing of the numbers at 223 seats. But again, I think that belies how the voters are looking at this election and how passionate they're becoming about it.
And I think he is absolutely right. We look at all the elections going forward, and Democrats continue to outperform the polls. We look at Kansas, and that wasn't just an outperformance of the poll. That was more than a 19-point swing. I mean, a 19-point win for something that was almost even with a bias towards the pro-life, the pro-anti-choice position. So when we look at the polls today, we have to figure that they are all off by quite a bit. And if you see a Beto O'Rourke down by 7 points, he's probably down by 1 or 2 within the margin of error, and with more campaigning, ready to hit it as we hit the entire society with the destruction that would occur if Republicans, the current crop of Republicans, come into power. When we look at Mike Collier, who is down by 6, he's probably even with Dan Patrick or ahead. And when we look at, I don't remember her name, the one running for the Attorney General, just put it against Ken Paxton. Just put it this way. Throughout the country, there is currently a Republican bias in reporting, meaning they are bias against Democrats in reporting, bias against the polls, Democrats' polling numbers. And I think when we add it all up, Michael Steele is actually right. They have not taken a pink wave into account. And the reality is, folks, women are signing up at a much higher rate than men. Why is that? Do you think they're signing up to get more of their rights taken away? Or do you think they're signing up because they're pissed that men decided that they knew what was best for their bodies, that men decided they were going to enslave the bodies of women? That's what it's all about. I mean, so look at the polls. Do not get discouraged, because a lot of times as well, these poll numbers are calculated. You may also see things like interest rates go up faster because they want to have a bias against Democrats. Remember, a lot of Democrats are neoliberals as well. So the country is moving progressive. The country is saying, these are the policies we want. These are the policies we need. These are the humane policies. They're waking up to the fraud that is our economic system. And they are going to react. And what the other side is trying to do is put the fear into people like, no, we need to keep the status quo. No, we need to keep the status quo. Forget it. Keep your heads up high. Remember, when you go to the ballot, specifically in Texas, you have to fill out the entire ballot, and you must go to the left side every time, to the Democratic side every single time, in my humble opinion, to save the country. Liz Cheney, a Republican, says it. Karl Rove is saying that these guys are extremists. This is something about saving the country. First of all, it's democracy. But secondly, the benefit will be to get more progressive values to ensure that people are treated or given more humane type policies. Folks, a pink wave is about. Yes, folks, a pink wave. Now, we only have 1 minute left, and the next video is 3 minutes and 6 seconds, so I'll play that one tomorrow. But it's important, folks, for us to understand this, brothers and sisters. Let's not fall for the thing. And all my right-wing listeners in here, my conservatives, look, thank you for being here. And I don't have to tell this to my progressives. You guys know it. We just enforce each other and learn how to promote the message further. But to my right-wing brothers, first of all, I honestly am thankful that you're here. And I hope that even as you you tease me, you troll me, you do all these things, that you're listening to the word, and that sometime, I know, if you keep coming and hanging with us, at some time something is going to happen within your own structure, within your own family, within your own circle of friends, that going to steer you the way many other Republicans have left not their conservative being, but what the evil of the Republican Party has become. Not in you, but what they promoted and made vogue for you. It is time. And so whether you are a convert, you've made it or not, please keep listening. Please keep being here. I love having you here from the depths of my heart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.